Welcome along to episode 11 of the Hong Kong Racing Show. It's season 1, and we get you up to speed on everything happening in the world of Hong Kong racing over the next 30 minutes or so, plus find you a few winners at Sha Tin this weekend as well. Our special guest coming up shortly is trainer Larry Rivelli, who is sending his Breeders' Cup champion Nobals to Hong Kong for next month's Hong Kong Sprint on International Day. So really looking forward to Larry joining us in just a few moments. As always, Alex Evers joins me, Hong Kong racing photographer extraordinaire. And Alex, there's a lot happening. Jockeys are confirmed now for the IJC. The selected runners are out for the 4 Group 1s on International Day. And we're, of course, blown away by 3 incredible performances on the track last weekend. I'm not even going to mention the Lions getting it over the Jaguars as well. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with Romantic Warrior last weekend. What'd you think of that? That was pretty insane, huh?
Unbelievable. Yeah, what a performance. I mean, just watching him sort of explode up the stretch there with J-Mac on top. And, you know, he won by what? I think the margin in the end, 4 1/4 lengths, but he was eased down. I love the fact after the race, J-Mac described him as a prize fighter, the heavyweight champion of the world. And watching that post-race interview with James McDonald too, Alex, I'm not sure if you saw it. He was very emotional. I think, you know, almost reflective and bordering upon tears.
It was so impressive, and the move at like the 550 to the 600 that he made, where he had to get outside of horses, and he just kind of bulldogged his way through that hole and made his own space, and then kick clear. Now we might have to work with J-Mac a little bit, because the celly where you put your fist up like this and block your face doesn't really look good for the pictures. And he's normally not like that. Normally he's out banging the chest and going up. So maybe he needs a little practice for HKIR, but that was the only thing out of that performance that I could bring into question at all. And it was a brilliant ride. He had a wonderful day too, as he caught another win on Voyage Bubble. And it looks like, just to me, it looks like when he gets on these horses, they move up like 5 points of skill. If it was like a video game, he's like a multiplier. It's crazy how good he's riding right now. And it was wonderful to see that last weekend.
Well, you'll have plenty of time to talk to him before HKR about those celebrations. Hopefully get him in the right frame of mind. Maybe he was getting a little bit confused with that awesome new camera angle on the inside of the track too. He's probably trying to appeal to both the infield camera and the photographers on the outside.
If there was a market for who had the better celebration with the camera car going on, Zach or J-Mac, Zach on KA YING RISING, I know we'll get there a little bit later, but that was unreal. Blowing a kiss, looking at the board, seeing the time, blowing a kiss, and then pointing at the car. And that new car, the camera angle where it can zoom in and out and show the scope of the field. I thought at first, I was like, oh, maybe they're just using something different today because they got a lot of rain and the track looked like it was off. Because normally it's like a flatbed truck with 2 guys on the back with the camera. And they just kind of control it. This was a whole new setup, and it was incredible. And love seeing the good feedback from it too. It's nice to see things progressing in a positive way.
Yeah, some awesome imagery and footage coming from Sha Tin last week. And of course, back to Romantic Warrior. That was his second win in the race and takes his overall record now to 16 wins and 3 seconds from 21 starts. Of course, now the favourite for a 3rd consecutive Hong Kong Cup victory. He will face a pretty strong contingent from Japan, though, including Liberty Island, who was Japan's filly Triple Crown winner of 2023, and has also run pretty close to behind Equinox as well. So, but it does look at this point, it's Romantic Warriors race to lose. You mentioned Voyage Bubble, Alex, of course, in the Jockey Club Mile. J-Mac announcing his return to Hong Kong racing, just starting his new 5 or 6 week stint, certainly with a bang, a very tough performance. His first win, Voyage Bubble's first win since the Group 1 Stewards Cup back in January, but he looked pretty impressive.
Yeah, and he just tracked Beauty Eternal the whole way. Let him carry him into the race and then just kicked at the head of the stretch. And no one was really able to do anything from the back markers there. And I don't know. We'll see. I've not given up on Galaxy Patch. Beauty Cowboys, did his thing that I thought he was going to do, and he still suckered me into making a win bet on him at 10-1. I'm not discouraged by Galaxy Patch there one bit. And Chain Glory literally ran much
Big
better than
run.
I was expecting. And him and Galaxy Patch are much closer than I think I gave credit for on the last show. So I think going to that mile, it's going to be really, really, really interesting to see if Voyage Bubble can move up off that performance, because that was a pretty solid effort. And I still think there's a lot of room for Galaxy Patch to improve off that run.
Yeah, absolutely. Voyage Bubble second in the mile last year behind Golden 60 is what raced in Dubai in Japan this year. And Ricky, you said after the race, there's still something left to come. So, yeah, exciting times heading into the mile. He's won 4 times over the mile at Sha Tin, has Voyage Bubble. And as you mentioned, Changing Glory, I thought that was a big run. So we've got a bit of an American angle heading into HKR with Chang Glory, the pride of Iowa. But we also are going to have an American angle too with the Hong Kong Sprint, which we'll get to in a second. But let's talk about the Jockey Club Sprint from the weekend. KA YING Rising. Your thoughts?
I mean, we talked about it last week too, where Zach was joking about when do you want to break the track record, and it breaks it here. But it was insane. Like, for horses that are fast and quick like that, normally they look like they're exerting themselves so much, and he just does this all well within himself, like he's taking care of himself. And his trips up to Chunghua where it keeps him relaxed and he comes back, it's just working super well. He's impressive, and I personally, to me, and Tom said the same thing too. He's the best sprinter in the world. Like, just enjoy the show. I can't wait to see him at HKR. I'm not sure how much he wins by, if there's enough competition for him. I love that Nobals is coming over and Larry's taking a shot at running against this horse, because he's the real deal. It's gonna be an exciting race. I really can't wait to see the sprint. Normally, I don't really have that much excitement in the sprint division, but this is a different year for me.
Yeah, as you mentioned, KA YING Rising breaking the track record, that Sacred Kingdoms track record from 2007. He could have broken it by more than what he actually did, of course, because Zach really eased down probably over the last half a furlong or so. And as you mentioned, from that inside camera angle, blowing a kiss to the infield camera, Zach said after the race, I knew it was a track record, so I wanted to seal it with a kiss. And he also added, it's getting crazy. It's getting scary just how good he's becoming and how easily he's doing it. So that's 8 wins from 2 seconds. 8 wins, 2 seconds from 10 starts now, Alex. So yeah, he's going to be very, very, very tough to beat in the sprint.
And he's not like Lucky Swainess, who didn't really have that gate speed, and he would kind of drop back and he kind of find himself in a little bit of trouble sometimes, and that's what was getting him beat. This horse has the gate speed, has the tactical speed to place himself almost like a romantic warrior, where he's putting himself in these positions without being asked. It's not like Zach is urging him out of the gate or really doing much. He's just letting him break, settle, get in that rhythm in such a short race too, and then he just explodes. And again, from that camera car, that angle where you're seeing him accelerate past the 3 horses in this straight, it's just unbelievable. He's going to be a fun one to see. I've got to photograph him once already, maybe twice. But yeah, I can't wait to see him. We're already looking at his track work schedule and trying to figure out when we can see him in the morning, because he's a special one for sure.
A perfect time to welcome in today's special guest trainer, Larry Rivelli, who confirmed this week his Breeders' Cup champion Nobals will head to Hong Kong for next month's Hong Kong Sprint. Larry, thank you so much for joining us. Before we talk Nobals, you had no doubt an eye on the Jockey Club Sprint last weekend at Sha Tin. What did you make of KA YING Rising's performance?
Yeah, pretty nice horse there. Champion, that's for sure. Absolute champion. I mean, it's going to be tough to beat that horse, I believe, especially on his home course. But I'm not going to duck just one horse, because I did that in the Breeders' Cup this year. I didn't think we could beat Cogburn, and he never showed up. So, anything's possible in a race, and with an opportunity to run at this venue for this kind of money, we're honored to be invited and going to take a swing at it.
Hindsight's always a wonderful thing. Do you think that you could potentially have beaten Cogburn then if you'd come to Del Mar?
That day, yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
But he obviously wasn't right. It wasn't the same horse that day for sure.
Yeah. And you'll be taking on the winner of this year's Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint as well. What did you think of Starlust's performance?
I thought we would have I thought maybe we would have won the race if we would have ran in it.
Nice. Well, that's
Nice horse as well. I mean, anytime you're in these kind of races and you win, you deserve a chance at bigger and better things. So uh, I'm sure every horse there is well meant in those type of races. So we've kind of checked a lot of boxes with this horse. He runs on any surface, he runs on any venue, and he's been doing really good. If he wasn't doing as good as he was doing, I wouldn't think about traveling this far to run. But he is in the best shape that he's probably ever been. So this warrants a shot for us.
Yeah, well, it was just a few hours before that KA YING Rising race that we just referred to, of course, and about 8,000 miles away. I just Googled that between
Yeah.
Hong Kong and Toronto. Your boy won his first race since the 2023 Breeders' Cup when taking out the Kennedy Road at Woodbine in Toronto last Saturday. Were you expecting him heading into that race to be back on his game, Larry?
Yes, I did. Obviously, I thought it would be a good spot for him. The horse that we beat, when I looked at the PPs, I was like, oh, maybe we jumped out of the frying pan into the fire. I mean, horses won like 8 in a row or 8 out of 10. That Patches O'Houlihan was the horse's name. He's like the Canadian champion over there. He's won all the sprints. So I just wanted to get him on a surface where I know he liked this, the synthetic track. The 2 tracks at Kentucky Downs, I'm sure you're familiar, and Keeneland. Those are 2 different turf courses, and I've raced a zillion times there. And back when I ran Nicole's Dream, I don't know, 20 something years ago, last time she ran there was the first and only time that I'd been to Hong Kong. She won on every surface except for Keeneland. Every time she ran to Keeneland, she ran 5th, 3rd, 5th, and she would never lose anywhere else. So those tracks, either you like them or you don't. And I kind of put a line through those last 2 races of his on the turf. And I wanted to get him back to the poly track, which I knew he liked, and it would be always, pretty consistent everywhere those type of surfaces. So yeah, I was confident.
That's great. And you mentioned Nicole's Dream there. So you have had experience going to Hong Kong before. You took her to the sprint back in 2005. What did you learn from that experience that might help you with Nobals?
Nothing. I learned nothing. We went down there, we got our ass beat, and then we came home with our tails between our legs. And I promise, and I probably said I'm never going to do this again because they were better horses than her at the time. But I think I got a little bit different product this time, so hopefully the result will be a little bit better.
Despite Nicole's Dreams placing in that particular race, what was the experience like as a whole? Having a runner on International Day in Hong Kong.
No, it was great. I mean, that's a fantastic venue. It's gorgeous. I mean, there's nothing like it anywhere. And if people haven't seen it, they should tune in because it's really, it's unbelievable. It's like the paddock is like, it's just like going to the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And just overall, how they, receive racing there is just a different level altogether. Something that everybody should try to do. It's a long trip, 16 hours, but it's something that if you are a traveler and you like to travel, it's something that you should do.
You catch the tailwinds on the way back, so it's a couple of hours.
That's funny.
It's been a while since an American horse has gone to International Day and represented America at HKIR. Why do you think that is?
Because they don't do very well. Probably they don't do very well. Yeah, you're crossing the world there. So that's why I think. I just think that the horses that get invited or the horses out here are probably not as good at the time. There'll be one to jump up somewhere, hopefully. Just kind of like it's been here. When they come for the Breeders' Cup or in the Derby, and in the last few years, horses from across the sea started doing a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. And you say that Nobals is probably as good as he's ever been, and figures-wise on that run in Toronto on the weekend, it certainly looks to be one of the best of his career, and definitely the best since the Breeders' Cup. Is he pretty much exactly where you want him to be now, heading into this race just 2.5 weeks away? And what will you do with him between now and then?
Yes, he is. I mean, I was almost looking for reasons to, if this happened or anything happened, I wasn't going to do it. And he's checked every box coming out of the race, and I won't do too much with him. Just play around with him. I'll have maybe a little bit of a breeze before he gets on the plane to come there, and then the rest will just be, you know, jogging, galloping, just playing around, keeping him happy, letting him acclimate, and
Yeah.
keeping him as happy as we can.
He looks to always have a lot of gate speed and then settles nicely.
Yeah.
Is that what you're kind of hoping for in Hong Kong?
Yep. Absolutely.
Get a nice
Because
close.
it's hard to tell on the PPs, but I'm going to get some more in-depth PPs of the runners, because you know how they give us the international ones. It's only
Yeah.
a start and a finish. So the horse we spoke about, what's it, Kai Ying Rising?
Rising.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he can come from off the pace a little bit, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know what our strategy will be. I have to look at all the PPs, but we will come out of there running, that's for sure. And if we have
Professional horse player based in Lexington who focuses um, quite a lot on Hong Kong racing. His name Sean Borman, was a guest of ours a few weeks ago. Gave KA YING Rising a 105 speed rating. He does speed ratings for Hong Kong horses, so just in case that's of interest to you. But of course, KA YING Rising was probably eased down a little bit too,
yeah.
breaking his track record. But it's a horse race, right? You never know.
Yep.
Larry, let me ask you, is it just me, or do you sometimes, just out of the blue, try and impersonate Larry Colmus's call of the 2023 Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint when he sort of shouts, "No ball"?
That was great. That was great. I just was funny. We watched a replay somewhere the other day, and that's really all you get from the whole race. That's it right there. You don't know where he's at during the race, and all of a sudden here he comes, and that's what you remember the most. It is kind of funny.
Nobals has taken the lead. Big Invasion into second. Here's the wire. Nobals.
How big a thrill was that?
That was great. That was the race of my, aside from the Derby when Two Phils almost won. It was my best year by far, and those are best moments in my career so far.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to ask you about Two Phils as well. Like, did that? I mean, what a year that was for you, 2023, right? You almost win I can feel like you're going to win a Kentucky Derby as they turn into the stretch, and then Nobals. But what was that Derby experience like with Two Phils?
That was great. Yeah, he was a tremendous horse. I think he was probably the best 3-year-old of his crop at that time. Obviously, injuries set him back, but he was he was a really neat horse too. He was cool to be around, kind of like Nobals. They're really they don't ask much of you, and you just stay out of their way, and they do their thing, and they're relaxed, and they sleep, and they eat, and something, if they're not eating or doing something, something's wrong. You know what I mean? So they're nice horses to train. They're pretty easy horses to train. Make me look good.
For sure. Any 2-year-olds in the barn at the moment?
I got a bunch of them that are kind of on the shelf. I have a 2-year-old by Vacoma that won by the length of the stretch named Murdoch, that he's back on the shelf. I was hoping to have him back a little sooner, but he's a runner. A horse I got in Fairgrounds on Saturday, Stars Image by Caravaggio. He's a runner. I got a couple of them that haven't been let loose yet. I got a pretty solid bunch of 2-year-olds that still haven't run. And I think we've won 11 or 12 2-year-old races out of about 24, 25 so far this year. So we've been on good terms there.
Well, hopefully you can pick up a few points on the road to the Kentucky Derby, and we'll see you in Louisville
that's the plan.
in May next year once again. But before that, of course, we've got Nobals heading to Hong Kong. Jockey-wise, I know that you have a freshly minted passport for E.T. Baird. He had to pick up a passport to get to Canada in Chicago on Thursday. But I've also seen mentioned in the press potentially Ryan Moore or even Umberto Rispoli. When are you going to decide on a jockey?
Pretty soon, I guess. I'm going to have to. I mean, every one of those guys are, I mean, obviously plenty capable. It's just a different. Ryan Moore's best rider on the planet, as far as I'm concerned, but they ride differently there. Their horses are more loose reined. You know what I mean? Our horses are more gathered. It just depends on if they can emulate the style, the way that he rode. I like the way ET rode him the other day, and I would like that to be the way that he's ridden. And if ET can go, I'll get him there. If he can't, then either Ryan Moore or Rispoli, just whatever ones I think that could, and it's, you don't want to insult the guy and be, and hey, can you do this? I'm sure he's going to say, sure, I can, because their style is, obviously different than American style. And he's the most American-ish style rider compared to those guys are swinging their legs and bouncing their ass off the saddle. And, but that's just, and they get run out of them. That's what they do there. Here, you're more of a, sit and take a little bit of a hold. And so I've been doing a lot of thinking about that. And I just, I still haven't come up with a solution or who to ride.
Well, don't leave it too late.
I'll flip a coin, and whatever one out of the three that's there and it lands on, it would be okay with me, no doubt.
Nice.
First would be ET if he can make it, if he can get there. And then after that, either of the two for sure.
Yeah, you've got three awesome choices there for sure. And I hear that this time you're not going to be making that 16-hour flight. Is that right?
No, I'm not. I'm a terrible traveler, to be honest with you. And neither is the owner. We're both pretty similar. Vince Foglia and I are long lost brothers. Let me tell you, when it comes to stuff like this, he can't sit still that long. And then we get, and a sickness type of thing, and just being on it for that long, it was torture for me the first time I went. And we're going to have an entourage, that's for sure. It just won't be me.
Well, you not being there this time might be the lucky charm.
Yeah, no, I believe it's possible, right? For sure.
Yeah. Well, Larry, all the very best. We're really excited. Obviously, the whole of America will be behind you, and having Nobals at the International Day at Hong Kong is just really exciting from a Hong Kong racing in North America perspective. So good on you for sending him there, and we hope he gets into the winner's circle for you.
Performs well. You got it, bud. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, time to find you a couple of winners at Sha Tin on Saturday night. It's a 10-race card. The feature race we're going to take a look at now is race number 7 on the card, and it's the Chevalier Cup, which has attracted a pretty strong field of 15, including Frankie Law's Healthy Happy, who hasn't won since September of 2023 in the Group 3 Celebration Cup. Green and White was an impressive winner of the Panasonic Cup last out. Karma is back, who Alex has picked previously with success. Young Champion finished well last time out after getting a long way back, should be primed for a big run, third off the layoff. And Voyage Samurai steps up to Class 2 company for the first time. Speaking of Voyage Samurai, the speed map showing him getting a nice run from post 1, tucked behind the leader in Telecom Fighters. Healthy Happy and Karma are going to need a little bit of luck. The speed map has them posted 3 wide. Alex, who do you like in the feature race on the card at Sha Tin on Saturday night?
It's another good one. And these races, they've been kind of an enigmatic puzzle. That's fun to say. I've been on Voyage Samurai, and I was on him last time. I've been on Karma. I've been on Patcha Theta, and I've also been on my boy Young Champion. Mm-hmm. Young Champion is probably the horse that I'm going to end up going with here again, and I hope there's enough pace on for him. There should be, but I just like the John Size angle that his horses seem to improve as the season goes on. I'm going to draw a line through that first one where he had blood in the trachea after the race. He improved a ton last time out. He came pretty wide, but I do like Young Champion. And then not to forget, and just to mention this horse, Romantic Thor making his first start in Hong Kong, same cross as City of Troy. Justify out of a Galileo mare. He was formerly known as Capulet for Aidan O'Brien. Again, first up for some of these horses, the acclimation process, it takes them a bit. But he's going to be kind of an interesting one to watch as well. What do you think here, Andrew?
I like Voyage Samurai. We saw the speed map, and it looks like Derek Lung should be able to take advantage of that inside gate and park himself on the fence behind the speed. First time in Class 2, but gets in nice and light because of that. And, he's been progressing quite nicely. So sometimes I like to take advantage of these horses when they are rising in class for the first time, but getting in at a nice light weight. So yeah, I'm gonna roll the dice with Voyage Samurai, who should get a nice ground saving run from that inside post. Hardest to beat, though, young champion. So I'm with you there. I think he looked back to his best last out, but just got too far back to really threaten them. But he was really finishing off his race very well, and a better post and being third off the layoff certainly in his favour. And I thought green and white was pretty good last time out too, so I'm going to throw green and white in my trifecta for the feature race. Can you leave us with a best bet for the card at Sha Tin on Saturday night, Alex?
You're gonna put me on the spot here, aren't you? Like that. I see how it goes here. No, I'm gonna stick with my play on Young Champion, and that's the horse that I'm gonna go with. I like everything about him, and I don't want to burst your bubble there on Voyage Samurai, but Keith Young has taken the mount here this week, as I do believe it's a lightweight issue, getting in at 115. I don't know if Derek can ride down low at 115. So,
gotcha. Breaking news here.
I don't know if that changes your pick at all, but
no, I'm all for Keith. Keith can get the job done for me.
He's been riding really, really well this season. Like, this is arguably some of the best he's been riding. A lot of the local guys this season have been riding incredible. And it's really nice to see. It was awesome just to see that comeback on the IJC, how so many guys were fighting for that last meeting there at Happy Valley to qualify for that event. Yeah,
I think it came down to Matthew Pooh needing to ride the last two winners at Happy Valley on Wednesday to be able to sneak in. But Carice Teaton got the last spot there, and Huey Bowman as the two leading Hong Kong riders. And that's just going to be an absolute beauty now, that IJC on the first Wednesday in December. You were running through a few of the names before, and we've got 5 previous winners. Is that right?
We got 5 previous winners. Let me see if I can name off the top of my head, because I wrote it down yesterday, but I don't have it here. We got Ryan Moore, Vincent Ho, Zach Purton, Karis Teaton, and Bowman has won it before, I believe so. I think Bowman won it in 2016.
Awesome. And then you'll have...
that might need to get fact-checked by some AI. And actually, if you're asking me for another horse to look at, I'd mark this one down as well. But I'm excited to see Savvy Brilliant again. He was huge last time. Okay. He's got 2 wins here this season. Taking on full credit at the top of the table there, carrying 135. So that's going to be kind of an interesting race to see.
Yeah, for sure. I like one. I'm hopefully at a bit of a price. Race 5, number 7, Self Improvement, who I thought looked really good in a recent trial, and looks to be plenty of speed on. James McDonald, that's always a plus. Jumps on, should be able to save some ground and get some cover from post 4. And again, another one third off the layoff, should be ready to fire. So race 5, number 7, Self Improvement for me. One to look out for. Alex, as always, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
As we gear up now, less than 3 weeks away from International Race Day, we'll of course have all the news, all the latest on Hong Kong Racing North America on X. Keep following us there. Keep tuning into the Hong Kong Racing Show, and keep following the Hong Kong Jockey Club website. And it's going to be an exciting 2.5 weeks as we build up towards HKIR and IJC before that. We'll see you next time on the Hong Kong Racing Show.